Ramblin Man here. Okay, so let me talk about the border again, because, and it's not a something that will end until this is fixed. So let me give you some facts first, and then we'll go from there. All right. So in the month of March this year, there have been 170. Now this is talking about the whole U.S. border. Okay, the southern border with Mexico. Now, there have been 173,000 apprehensions. And they have some extra numbers on the end of that, but we'll just round it, whatever, down. There have been 14,000 sendbacks. So they turn them back, so they turn them back and make them go back to the Mexico. This is just the ones they interact with, right? So that already puts the contact about 187,000. I believe that my math is right. Then there have been 38,000 getaways. Now, getaways are those that they see and they try to make contact with, but they outrun them, they lose them, either way. 38,000. So you're talking in the ballpark of about 220,000 migrants. Okay, that's just in March. Now, with 38,000 people, you have not made any contact with them. You don't know if they are cartel members. You don't know if they're just innocent people. You don't know if they're women, children. There's no data on that. It's just because they did not get them. They did not grab them, okay? They were just numbers that they put out there once they got in touch with them, right? So 38,000. We don't know if they have COVID. They're just out in the U.S. doing whatever. That's just the month of March. So let's do the math. Let's say it continues like this. I doubt it will continue that way. But let's even just take that in half and make it 19,000. If there were 19,000 people that get away constantly in the U.S. every month, right? So you're looking at 190 plus 38. That's 228,000 people that are just freely coming across. That's ones that we know of. That's just ones we put eyes on but could not make apprehension. Okay? That's just that number. That's astounding in itself. It's almost a quarter million people just running free and just running amok. Now it doesn't count any of the ones that came over, and I'm sorry for the traffic. It doesn't count any of the ones that came over and no one even put eyes on them, because they're just coming in such a force right now that it's ridiculous. I know one of the biggest things right now is Nancy Pelosi just came out and has said that we are on a good path right now under the leadership of Joe Biden. Okay, I don't know how that comes about. I don't know what she deems a good path on the border, but that's what she's saying, right? So we're on a good path with Joe Biden at the helm for the border. Now, the first thing he did was take all those policies Trump had in place that would keep it, until he had something better to do, it would just keep it, bottled up, and at least have some form of like a plan that was in place. And the Biden administration was told that if he undid those policies, this is by the constituents and other people down there, and then the Border Patrol said if he undid those policies, the problem would be that it would run rampant, and there would be what we're having now, the surges in crisis. He was warned of that, he and his administration, but he did it anyway. So now we're dealing with what we're dealing with. So 173,000 apprehended. Now, if you know how, and when they say 14,000 sendbacks, so they would turn backs or whatever, when they turn them back into Mexico, okay, but you have 173,000. Now, here's the problem. So the problem runs into when you talk about people, okay? When Biden will tell you that, and his administration will tell you that they're doing keeping families together. Okay, well, they're not doing DNA tests down there. Why would they do a DNA test? If someone comes to you and you've never seen them or met them before, and they say, yeah, we're a family. You have a mom and a dad, and you have these kids. And you're taking their word for it There's no IDs and stuff. You're taking their word for it that they're a family. That's the best way for smugglers to get people across is to come in looking as a family. Hey, we're going to travel together as a family. These are my 4 kids. So basically what we're doing is we're saying, hey, y'all get to stay together because y'all are a family and you have a youngster with you. That is the problem, because we're letting all these people in that, you've seen the reports. There's been gang rapes. These kids been molested, abused. People crossing the river. The coyotes are pulling people across the river and they're smuggling them on rafts, and then they see the Border Patrol coming in. They throw a 6-month-old baby into the water. Now, there was a DPS officer that was helping there that was part of that rescue and helped save the baby. The baby was fine, but in doing so, we as humans, we see a baby, that becomes our focus, and so they're not gonna let a baby drown. So when they focus on that, you have 20 people on a raft. They make landfall, and you rescue the baby's fine, but now you have all these people loose. So they're going to do anything they can as far as, to give distractions or run decoys, whatever the case is. They're tossing kids over the wall, dropping them 14 feet. I mean, come on, these are not things. Would you drop your child 14 feet? No, you would not. 5 and 6-year-old kids dropped off. Kids left abandoned. You saw that there's a lot of it. I mean, any of the stuff I'm telling you right now, go online and look around and you will find this. It's not like I'm just making stories up. There's one right now, like a stranded little boy. He was walking and he said he was with a group and he wasn't with his mom and dad. He asked him about it with your mom and dad. No, I was with a group and they left me. They abandoned me. And then he asked, what do you want? And he goes, I had to talk to you because I wouldn't make it because I was abandoned. This is an everyday thing. And if you're talking about 173,000 apprehensions, that doesn't count what people got away. So all these people are being released. We're being told here in the U.S. that we have to wear a mask. We have to get vaccinated. I haven't seen anything about, hey, we're going to vaccinate all these people coming in. Maybe I'm wrong. If you see that, let me know, because right now we're just trying to get it where we can vaccinate our Americans, much less everyone that's coming in. Then we are sending people into these little camps, putting our own homeless out on the street, and to keep all these people together, which may or may not be families. We don't know. We're just taking their word for it. If you know of anything, okay, so right now, they're talking about you have to have an ID for everything, okay? So you have to have an ID to buy liquor. You have to have an ID for tobacco. You have to have an ID for everything. And people are talking about, now in the U.S., they're talking about, hey, you have to have a vaccination and your ID to move around the country. These are the things that the Biden administration wants to do. Well, let me ask you this. So, if we are required to have a vaccination in order to move around and to go into different things, what about all these illegal immigrants? How are they getting IDs? How you're just letting them loose. So now, how are they going to go around and do what they need to do and travel? Are we holding them to the same standards? Do they have to get a vaccination first? And then it goes on their passport. Oh, wait, they don't have a passport because they're here illegally. So y'all tell me, at what point do you feel like this is a good path we're on for March to have 220,000 known contacts? That's just the ones we contacted. Remember that. And for everyone, let's just say for everyone that you contact, there's another that gets away, which is probably a lot more than that. This is ridiculous. You're going to have like 2 million people come in the United States in 2021 illegally. Not even just people that come in, okay? Our infrastructure is not made for that. And let's be honest, if we spent more time and took that $86.9 million that they they're using to put the immigrants into hotels, we use that for our own homeless or used it for some kind of program, it could be better well spent. And then look around and stuff. You can see this stuff. They're putting they're putting people into hotels, and there's overnight, and then they leave and they take them out to different places, right? It's like a free shuttle service now, and that's coming out of, and this isn't just in the Texas border, down in McAllen and stuff. Look it up, do some research. Now the thing is, with these, there's a few that are being left behind, and in that hotel, and they have to be quarantined for a week because they tested positive for COVID. Now, when they arrive to this hotel, they are in a shuttle bus. That bus holds 15 people, and then they go there and they go testing. They a little bit later, they're like, "Hey, you tested positive." Well, that person, they weren't quarantined at the time, so they rode with those 15 people, and sometimes it takes a couple days for you to even have like symptoms. So if this person is like, "Hey, we're going to keep you quarantined for 7 days," now all those people that rode with that person, half of them catch it. Now you're talking about, so if you keep 2 of them there that have COVID, you have 13 others, or let's say 12 others, half of them, 6 of them, get COVID. Well, they don't show symptoms till 2 days later, but meanwhile, they spread it to the other one loaded on the bus. That's another, 8 people. It's just like wildfire. But we are worried in the U.S., the Biden administration. I say Biden because they're in charge right now. If it were Trump, I'd say the Trump administration, if this were happening right now. But the Biden administration is saying, you know what? We're just going to keep sending these people out. We're going to house them all together. And how is that? So he doesn't want us, he wants us wearing 2 masks, all kinds of stuff, right? And they don't want us to, we might be able to have barbecues by July 4th if we do really good on this. Everybody get vaccinated. But you're throwing immigrants out that are probably most likely, if they've come in contact with those with COVID-19, they're just spreading it around. So these numbers are going to be skewed. We're going to have so many issues. So where Nancy Pelosi says we're in a good path, I beg to differ. I think it's ridiculous. Kamala Harris is supposed to be heading this up. I haven't really heard anything from her. And no one really cares except for those on the border or the ones connected to the border or close to it. But wait till it starts infiltrating the rest of the United States. You don't know who's coming in. We have a hard time thinking about, we locked down all the airports and everything. We're like, you know what? We're going to check everything and screen people to make sure we don't have any terrorists coming in here. That was a big concern, that we didn't want to have any terrorists come in here. So, after 9/11, everyone was very cautious, and everybody like, oh, they're stereotyping and they're racial profiling. Well, they're profiling based off of, hey, we're looking for Middle Eastern. Let me just tell you, a terrorist doesn't have to be from the Middle East. They can be from anywhere. You have a bunch of cartel and stuff, but let me tell you, if they have people they've gotten from Yemen and other places, so people are coming to Mexico and then coming right up into this by way of the border. So if you don't think it's a problem and it doesn't affect me, you're wrong. It affects you because they're so worried, and they're deflecting and putting everything on gun control. What you need to do is make sure you're focusing on the border, where people that the people that are going to get the guns that you don't want to have the guns are probably coming through the border right now. Just saying. So correct me if I'm wrong. Please comment and let me know where you stand on this. But I'm telling you right now, we have a bigger problem than the Biden administration wants to admit. Nancy Pelosi, there is no good path. I think you have lost some of your, I don't know, she's so old, and all of this is like, I don't know what it is, but between her and Biden, like, these people are so out of touch with what's really going on because they sit in their office in D.C. or their homes, and they're just telling you what other people tell them. And have any of those people been to the border and really taken inventory of what's going on there? No. Kids are packed together. They want us to keep 6 feet apart, but they're packing them like sardines. It doesn't matter if you wear 4 masks. If you're packed right up next to one another, and kids, they cough. Think about it. If you put a bunch of kindergartners all together, you're like, hey, don't touch your mouth. Are you kidding me? They're going to be they're the nastiest little things. And it's just because they're kids. They don't know. They spread germs like wildfire. And you're going to pack them in. That's where they are right now. Detained at the border, packed together for like 3.5, 4 days. Then they take them out and send them off to housing areas. And if they haven't tested for COVID yet, tested positive, hey, they get to go on. Well, what if they develop it after 2 days because they got it from someone else? It's going to spread like crazy. I'm telling you guys, this is a epidemic. We have a pandemic, but this right here, just in the state of Texas, is an epidemic as far as with the immigration issue. I don't know what else needs to be done, but at some point we have to take a step up and be like, you know what? I'm going to put a stop to this. We as Americans, we as Texans, need to take a stand and decide what that looks like. Vaccines? No. Your government's not going to tell you whether or not you can be vaccinated. And I love the fact that Greg Abbott turned around and said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have where you have to have a vaccine to move around Texas. But if the rest of the United States does that and they say nothing, shame on them. If you're from another state and your state does that, shame on you. Because that is because you allow it to happen. I refuse to be part of the sheep. I'm not a sheeple. I'm just letting you know. I refuse to be that person that just falls prey to my own lack of, call it confidence, call it standing up for my rights. You know, throughout time, we as Americans have had to time and time again stand up for what we believe in. It's about that time now. So when people come at your rights, make sure you know your rights. Do some research. Make sure you know what is allowed, what is not allowed. Don't be one of those people like, oh, you can't do this, and when they can really do that. Make sure you know what you're talking about, but don't let somebody trample on your rights. They were earned. People fought. People died so you could do what you want to do. So you can tell people that, you know what, I want to do this, I want to do that. Even if it's wrong, people died so you had the right to feel that way. So you had the right to say whatever you want to say. So just keep in mind, people, we are slowly losing our rights because we allow it to happen. My wife always says, you teach people how to treat you. And that's exactly right. The government should not be ruling us. We choose the people who are in the government, so they should be working for us, not moving us around like it's like modern day slavery right now. We're being confined to certain areas. We're being told what we can and can't do. That's not freedom, people. So stand with me. I'm telling you right now, if someone tells you you need to do something, if it's your right to not do it, and you don't want to do it, stand for it. I got you back. That's all I want to say today. I got your back. Let's get this immigration thing under control before it overruns us. And let's get this whole freedom thing moving in the right direction. Thanks for listening to me, guys. Ramblin' Man out.